Hello and welcome. I'm Wild Chevy, and you're watching the Atomic Salt Live Show. And once again, I'm joined by Rocket Yeti. How's it going, Rocket Yeti?
I'm doing great. I'm out here on location in Fort Worth, Texas. So why I'm here is actually classified, but it has to do with my real day job.
There's only two things in Texas. Did you bring your dice?
Actually, I did not. This is a purely work business trip. So I didn't even bring my middies because if you guys ever stayed in a hotel before, you'll know that the lighting is universally bad. It's also really hard to transport all your paints. Turns out security guards tend to pull you out of lines more often when they see a whole bunch of like little jars of liquid inside of your carry-on.
All right, let's get started with the show. So what have you played? Have you done anything this week? Played, painted, hobbied?
I haven't done any playing, but I've done quite a bit of painting. I finished up my Thorakites, and on top of that, I've started work on my Myrmidons. I'm continuing on with the bronze metallic paint scheme, and this time they're going to be black. So I'm playing around with highlighting black and doing some dark on dark washes and that sort of thing. So hopefully I'll be able to have them done maybe sometime next week.
And if
What
any
about
of
you?
you want,
Well, Chevy, what have you been up to?
not much. I did some Infinity this week, some more machines. Um, did went to a painting night last night, so got some work done on a few figures. Also, I got to check out and read 7th edition for 40K.
Yeah, let's take a few minutes before we really get into everything to kind of talk about that now that we've had a little bit of time to deal with it. So, overall, what do you think about the new 7th edition?
I like it. I mean, the book, the rules, clarified a few things from last edition. Still a lot of things I have to get used to, but Psychic Phase is pretty interesting. I even broke down, bought the Psychic deck, and I mean, the book so far, it's a very nice book, very pretty.
Okay. So, speaking of the psychic phase, I'm going to hide what they've done with the psychic phase. Like, I absolutely hate it. I think that GW took a big swing at this, and I give them all the props in the world for trying, but I think this was a bit of a miss. The
Not
reason
just
for
because of
that
my
being
Tau.
is twofold. That's part one. So, as a Tau player or as a Necron player, there are several armies that just don't have access to psychers, or so that means during their psychic phase, they're essentially doing nothing. When they are in their opponent's psychic phase, all they have is d6 dice to try and deny the witch. Which leads me to my second point, but I'll get there in just a second. So that essentially means that now if you're playing Tau or Necrons or another race that doesn't have any psychic abilities, it's your chance just to lay the hurt on them as much as possible because there's nothing they can do to stop you. Which rolls right into my second point, is all these psychic powers now, it's all a casting game. It's not a deny the witch game. In order to cast a power, in order to deny a witch, I have to roll as many sixes as that person does as many 4-ups. So if you roll 4-4-ups, then I have to roll 4 sixes, which is really technically impossible. You know, you can quote statistics to me, but it's going to be very rare that someone will actually be able to deny the witch on most other people, because it's not how many warp charges that person needs, and you're not using those sixes to erase warp charges. You're having to completely nullify that power. And so this is really a game just all about offensive casting, not trying to defend yourself.
Well, the
So
risk more so comes for actually casting the power. I mean, I saw a game with demons going against Grey Knights. The demon player had, I think, 19 dice total, And he periled a couple of times because he wanted to go big and bad and hurt him pretty good.
Yeah, there's a risk in offensive casting, and I'm not saying it's life is a sunny summer and you're sitting on a green hill when you're doing offensive casting. It's your phase to lose, and it's your phase to hurt yourself. But your opponent really has almost zero ability to counter what you're trying to do. That. So that's my thoughts on 7th edition. Screw you, GW, and your psychic phase. You got magic
Town
in
where
my
they can
science.
take their times and go home.
Although, speaking of big, giant, ugly walkers, our favorite greenskins have a walker of their own.
Yep. Yep. We saw the Gorkanaut.
Or is it Morka?
Yeah, very true. It's a pretty beastly looking kit. Super heavy walker. So we'll see if it actually shows up in the codex.
Are you sure it's actually classified as a super heavy walker, or is it
Yes,
just
it is.
a walker? Okay.
Super heavy, I think it's 13, 13, 12, 6 hull points. So it's going to be pretty beefy. It's up there in size-wise as an Imperial Knight.
Yeah, slightly shorter, it looks like, but a lot heavier looking.
For orc, size don't matter.
What are you talking about? For orc, size is everything. So, but we've also seen a few leaks. This has kind of been unusual for a release. Usually, at this point, we're getting a lot of different rules leaks. A lot of kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge from GW previews that aren't really previews. But all we've seen at this point is a few pictures. So this has been a little bit unusual. However, the pictures we have seen, we've seen a little bit of information on the flash kits. Those look like they're going to be a fun unit, kind of the Orcs version of Devastators. Some big guns, and maybe even a new Weird Boy model. So, and they all look sufficiently orky. I don't think I've seen one person complain about how everything looks.
It's true. I mean, you can't go wrong with orcs. But we'll have to find out here maybe this week if when they're going to tease the codex.
I'm sure we're going to get it soon. Although, it's kind of been interesting. On one hand, it feels like GW is opening up in a lot of ways. We're starting to get a lot more picture previews. They're becoming a lot more regular. And even with the facts, they've started updating those a lot more regularly. So it feels like they're making more strides in one direction. But at the same time, they've done things like the heavy metal face group just got shut down by Games Workshop. And so it really feels like GW doesn't know what they're doing. I'd like to believe they would. If anything, I'm an apologist for GW. Oh, their prices aren't that bad, or this corporate policy decision isn't so horrible, but in this case, I'm having a really hard time understanding what they're trying to do.
They all want under the same umbrella. I mean, they've released all their painting guides on the tablets. They have the new paint sets that they just released. They just want you to come to the one spot.
Well, then sure. Then why not make an open forum on their website where the artists can talk with other painters out there?
I think if they put a forum on their website, it'd crash the website.
Okay, a moderated forum. That would still probably crash. It's the internet. So, okay, but enough about companies that are doing a poor job with their customers. Let's talk about a company that's doing a great job. What would you want to tell everybody what you just signed up for?
The Warcore program was announced this week from Corvus Belli, makers of Infinity the Game. It is their press ganger type program. That's people who are enthusiastic about the game to build the metas and get some rewards out of it. They have a link on their website, and it said right now initially it's going to be 100 applications, or sorry, 100 entries, and probably 1,000 applicants. So we'll see if I get chosen or not. But it'll be interesting to see how it goes.
You know, limiting it to 100 people right off the bat is kind of an interesting move on their part, and I kind of like it. They've never done a program like this before. They're brand new to it, and so instead of trying to just completely open the floodgates and potentially let things get out of hand and do it wrong, they're taking it small for now. They're keeping it small. They're learning. They're developing kind of a core group of power users, and before they really expand it out. So I think that this is actually a really good thing that they're doing.
It'll be interesting to see how it goes.
If it is, of course, Wild Chevy will be on here to tell everyone, and maybe even we'll try and do a little bit of like Infinity. Maybe we can even figure out how to do an Infinity game on here.
Oh, that'd be interesting. If nothing else, we'll film some stuff, write some stuff, put it on the blog.
Yeah, this is your opportunity. You could give us a couple of articles on what it's like to give a demo game of Infinity, or how life changes, or how War Corps changes the game. I mean, let's be honest. You don't win very often already, so if you're giving demo games, you kind of try and lose and go easy on people. So
I gave a demo this week, so it was pretty interesting to teach a new player.
Mm-hmm. So Drop Zone Commander, we've seen their new 30mm models.
I want it bad.
Massive. You don't even play and you want it.
I like shiny. Shiny likes me. But hopefully we'll see some of these
30mm models
are. The Drop Zone 10 mil scale, so they've increased it from. We've seen the bigger picture. We haven't seen the size comparison yet, but they're pretty big from what everybody's been talking about. Hopefully, we'll see some general releases at Gen Con or other conventions this year. But these are primarily going to be showcase minis, not playable minis for a larger game.
Okay, so kind of like their Aegis Las, or their Aegis Gun, whatever it is, their BFG. So more of like terrain that you're going to play around. So, although you will be going to Gen Con this year, so this is your opportunity. You can find out more and you'll report it back here, right?
Yep, I'll give you guys some information firsthand, squeeze them for anything I can, and come back with many minis.
So, speaking of minis, War Machine and Hordes, they've just come out with some new character solos. These are kind of what they teased and showed off during the Kickstarter a while back for their War Machine Tactics game. I didn't jump in on that one, but Wild Chevy, I know you got in on it, at least to some extent, right?
Very true, yes. These are the general release ones. The ones for the Kickstarter, like this one here. Those were limited sculpts, but the ones that
okay, folks, we are really going to work on this.
Yes. Yes, the ones that they're releasing now are the general release sculpts. Some people said they look better than the limited edition ones, but hey, we all like shiny. We'll all buy them.
I'll say that I actually do. I kind of agree with everyone. I think that a lot of these look better than their Kickstarter poses. Now, a few of them are still just War Machine's wacky. Like, War Machines has their own unique design aesthetic, and I'm not always with them 100% on it. I can see the quality behind the sculpts, and I think they're doing a great job, and it's going to look good on the table. But when you're just looking at the pictures of the models, a couple of them look a little goofy. But I don't know. Maybe that's the point with War Machine. Maybe you folks like your stuff looking a little odd.
We'll bring you to the
I'm not
steampunk. Slowly but surely, we'll drag you in.
You could try. You can try. I'm much more of a sci-fi guy, which is the reason why I got really excited about the Infinity releases this month.
Oh, very true. Yeah, there's some nice-looking miniatures this month.
Yep. First up, we have the Raiden Sebutai with the heavy rocket launcher. He looks like another Raiden Sebutai. Nice model. I like that he's not overly dramatic in his posings. Infinity is really good about making their miniatures dynamic. However, sometimes they get a little crazy with it. This is just a nice, simple action pose. It looks like he's kind of got it slung at his hip, and he's observing the battlefield. The next one we had is we've got a 4-model box of the Knights of Santiago. The detail on these ones are amazing. If you go out and check the pictures of these guys.
I brought up on screen share. Let's see if it works.
Great. All right, so you can see on the far left we have the Knights of Santiago. We have a couple different weapons versions. A couple of them are brandishing their weapons because the Knights are just as good in close combat as they are in shooting. If you know Knights, they're impetuous models, or I believe they have frenzy. So even though they're a middle infantry, they're a great way to get up the board. Looking at the middle, we have the O12 High Commissioner. He's one of their bootleg minis. This is kind of interesting.
It's the first bootleg they've released this year, so.
And last time we saw bootleg minis, we saw them come in a wave. And I think a lot of people were expecting a wave again for the bootleg minis. But we're starting to see maybe we'll just start getting them one at a time. So, but it's a nice pose. He'll make a great civilian for whatever you're doing. Right next to him, we have probably my favorite model of the month, our Kazakh Spetsnaz with the sniper rifle. Oh, this guy's gorgeous. See, he's got a beautifully detailed rifle. It's got a large suppressor on it, the night vision goggles. Angel Heraldez, Infinity Studio painter, even managed to do a blue and white striped Spetsnaz shirt underneath it. Kind of the Spetsnaz trademark, if you will. So, again, it's a nice pose. It's not overly dramatic. Like some of the Knights of Santiago, if you've ever done any of Infinity models, you're drooling while you're smacking yourself in the forehead because you really, really are not looking forward to building these guys. So he's not.
These new
completely
models are a lot easier to put together.
Yeah, they're easier. They're still not. They're still not the easiest. When you have a limb flailing out in every single direction, you really start to worry about them bumping up against things when they're on the table. So, although I will say, the Kazakh Spetsnaz, he's standing on a rock again, which kind of limits you to your basing options. It means that he's going to have to have some kind of outdoor basing, because if you try and put him on a deck plate, it's going to look a little weird. You're going to say, where did this rock come from? I don't know. Out of this whole spaceship, there is one rock, and I will stand on it. So, But if you're into modeling, I'm sure you can turn that into a crate or a box or maybe something else. And then finally, we have the Interventors from Tunguska. Male and female version. They're both hackers. In the game, they're great hackers. They're WIP 15 hackers. And they bring with them the Fast Pandas.
Fast Panda!
I now understand why we had the Zoncat model a couple of months ago. You know, the horrific model with the huge ducted fans and the kitty with the boobs on it. It was to come up with a model so horrendously awful that when we looked at the Fast Pandas, we would all love them. Because I have to say that I don't actually hate these models, amazingly enough. So, all we know about them right now is they're going to be able to extend the range of the Interventors, so possibly some kind of mobile repeater unit. So, but that's it. Those. It's been as always, it's a big month for Infinity. They've been slowly but sure. I shouldn't even say slowly. They've been quickly coming out with miniatures every month. These guys have been a factory. Speaking of a lot of miniatures, Simon, Cool Mini or not, they've revealed their newest Kickstarter. It's going to be Xenoshift. We still don't know what this one is about, but
They put a little teasers out. Last week they had their Cool Mini Expo, and so they've got a few teasers out. I think they've got a 30-second video showing what it is. Hopefully we'll be able to reach out to the folks at Cool Mini to get a little bit more of an insight to what Xenoshift really is, and when it comes to Kickstarter.
Although, speaking of Kickstarters, should we talk about the Kickstarters that are out right now?
Sure.
First up is our Weird World War II Kickstarter, Dust, Operation Babylon. So, as we speak, they are at over $250,000, and they still have 2.5 weeks left to go.
Nice.
So, we talked a little bit about what Dust is. It's a skirmish war game, World War II, with a kind of weird type unit. So you'll see armored walkers. Well, they'll be fighting zombie gorilla Nazi apes. So it's just really, really cool, and it's a lot of fun. All the miniatures look great. So obviously, this is Operation Babylon is a North African campaign, but of course you can use those to create any other campaign you want. You can have a European campaign, you can have a Russian campaign. And yeah, it's been a great Kickstarter. It's still blowing up, and I think, as I spoke last time, I think that this is a really great way to get into Dust. Dust has been kind of slow crawling the last few years as they've been trying to work out their developer and their publisher issues, but they've gotten straightened out, and for just $60 you can get in. You can get a rulebook and you can get a starter army. So I think this is probably one of the best.
And with them being with Battlefront, worldwide shipping, so cost is going to be cheap for shipping wise and buying extras.
Yeah. Not only that, but you can also partner with your local game store, and you can get it ordered through them. So it won't cost you anything more. However, your local game store is going to get a cut of the money, and it'll ship to them. So it's a really great way to not cut out all the local middlemen, because we all like playing at our local game stores, and we all want to support them the best we can. But Kickstarters make that a little difficult. So we've seen a great way now for them to kind of partner up with the middlemen again and try and. Kickstarters are great for the individual, but now they can start making it great for the community as well. Another Kickstarter that I think you guys would be interested in It's Fantasy Miniatures by Mink Studio. So this is a fantasy, and I don't always support fantasy. I'm not a steampunk guy. I'm not a fantasy guy.
You've got 2 daughters. Bring them into the elves.
I do have 2 daughters, and most of the time, that's why I don't do fantasy, because I don't want my daughters growing up thinking metal bikinis are okay. However, that's one of the reasons I like this Kickstarter, is the women wear clothes! It's amazing! Somewhere along the line, someone has realized that fathers around the world can actually buy miniatures if they're wearing clothes. Because as much as I love the Kingdom Death stuff, as it doesn't matter how high quality, how good the sculpting is, when they're not wearing any clothes, it's not coming into the house. I'm not being a prude. I'm not stopping from other people I know from buying them. I'm just saying that my wife doesn't approve, and I don't want to answer the questions that my daughters are going to ask when they see it.
Fair enough, fair enough. And what are these guys up to so far?
So far, they were looking for $10,000, and they're up to $15,000, and they've got a little over a week left to go. So not only is it a miniature line, but they've also got an RPG system going along with it. So I encourage you guys to check that out. Again, it's a nice one. There's plenty of lower levels that you can get into on it. If you don't want to go whole hog and just get a few miniatures and just kind of show them some support. So, and check out their Minotaur model. It looks amazing.
And by the way, links for all this information will be in the show notes.
Yep. And we got one more. Before we move on to other stuff, I know I'm talking about Kickstarters a lot, but there's a lot happening right now. Last one is Drake, the Dragon War game. So, a lot of times we see dragons as kind of like the end goal. They're the end boss that we play with. Well, the guys by Action Game Miniatures have decided we all love dragons, so why save them just for the end? Let's put them right in the miniatures game itself. And so it's actually a skirmish, again, fantasy game. I know, I'm talking a lot of fantasy here, I'm sorry. But your faction and your skirmish squad get a dragon to fight with him.
Interesting.
How cool is that? Yeah. So, and again, the miniatures look amazing. So, there's a couple, I'll say their painting does not show off the miniature as well as what you hope it would. And a few of these miniatures do kind of break my rule about what could be let into the house. But it's fairly border.
But you get a dragon.
But if you pick and choose,
you get a
dragon. Yes! Yes, you get a dragon. I don't need to say anything else about it. You get a dragon. Moving on. I'm done.
So let's see, what else do we have this week? Privateer Press has Lock and Load this week, and we'll be seeing a lot of stuff from about Cephalax, some upcoming releases as well. Hopefully we'll see some good information on their seminars that they always put out, and we'll also see a live stream again of their end tournaments, which are always pretty fun to watch if you're into War Machine. Which I know we're gonna put him into it.
You can try. You are welcome to try, sir. I'll be honest, I've never actually played a game of War Machine before. I don't know anything about it. All I do is I just look at the miniatures.
Well, you're going to Feast of Blades. So
maybe between sometime in the next few weeks, I am going to Feast of Blades, and I will learn a little bit of it. Maybe I'll even sit in on a game. I'll let somebody demo it for me. So, but we'll save the best for last. Gen Con is coming up, and this year it is going to be big. So big that they even have a new location for it.
That's Adepticon.
Was that a Defcon? Whatever, they're the same thing. No,
Adepticon.
I'm sorry.
2015. They've already announced their new location. I think they've got this locked in for 10 years. It'll be a lot bigger than before. No more multi-level as in the past. It's all going to be kind of in the same general location. Bigger play areas. They said you could actually have open play, which they haven't had it before in the past. There's always all the rooms are locked down for all the tournaments. So people have already started booking their tickets already, or hotel rooms.
So get online, hit up Travelocity or Hotwire or whichever company you prefer, and start getting your hotel rooms now for next year.
Excellent. Anything else you'd like to talk about, Casey? Anything coming up?
I think that just about wraps us up. No, well, there's always more and more coming up, but I think we're starting to run a little bit long. So, as always, guys, this is the Atomic Salt. We're not just a webcast. We're doing this live, and we want you guys to get involved. So, if you think that we're brilliant and you want to come on and tell us how brilliant you are, we'd love to hear from you.
Even in the comments.
Even in the comments. If you think we completely suck, we want to hear that from you. Leave it in the comments. And let us know, and we can even pull you on, and we can make you a part of the show for an evening.
If you want to.
If you want to. So, if you're brave enough to say it in the comments, you should be brave enough to say it to our faces.
No, you don't have to.
So, but that's it for me.
All right. Please like, comment, share, subscribe if you haven't. We'll be doing this every week. Tell us what you need. Tell us what you want. Tell us what you'd like to see. We'll try to put it out there for us. And you can contact us at theatomicsalt@gmail.com. I've been Wild Chevy. This is Rocket Yeti.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Catch you later.